Hi there. Welcome to the Movie Review Mom YouTube channel. I'm so glad you're here. My goal is to give you the heads up on filmmaking quality and content so that you can make the best decision as to whether or not you want to spend time or money or both sometimes watching a particular film. So the movie I'm reviewing today is called The Pod Generation. This sci-fi romantic comedy of sorts releases on streaming on August 24th, 2023. The film is rated PG-13, is an hour and 41 minutes, and the movie review mom grade I'm giving it is an A minus. I actually really enjoyed it along with audiences. However, I've seen a lot of film critics saying, they didn't like this movie at all, but I'll tell you why I did. First, I'll give you an overview in a nutshell, and then I'll point out things I liked and didn't like, as well as offer tips for parents, themes worth talking about, interesting lines, and recommendations for other films that are sort of similar that you might enjoy. All right, so let's get started in a nutshell. The story is about something that happens in the not so distant future. Tech giant Pegasus offers couples the opportunity to share their pregnancies via detachable artificial wombs or pods. Get it? The pod generation. And so begins Rachel and Alvy's wild ride to parenthood in this brave new world of technology. The movie was written and directed by Sophie Barths. It premiered at the Sundance Film Festival and offers a fascinating look at pregnancy and parenting and technology. So let me give you some tips for parents. First of all, I think kids are going to be bored, even though it's about having kids. It's adults talking. We see a very pregnant woman in a two-piece bathing suit. Emilia Clarke, I should start with this. Emilia Clarke sure doesn't have a problem showing her naked chest like she did in Game of Thrones, if you ever saw that, where she was like full on everything naked. Anyway, we see some of her bare chest in this movie while she's wearing a robe, getting out of bed, and you sort of see a little side shot there. Just saying. There is some light profanity, but not very much, which I'm always happy to say. And we see a married couple getting a little frisky in bed, but nothing graphic. We just know they're in bed, they're kissing, and that kind of stuff. So some of the themes that the film illustrates very well are technology versus humanity, technological progress, parenthood and human pregnancy, the miracle of birth, marriage, biology, the healing powers of nature, evolution, the women's right to control her own body, and dreams. I'll tell you more about that here in just a second. So there were a lot of things I really liked about this movie. First of all, Emilia Clarke is wonderful and really perfect in this role. You'll almost forget that she's a British actress because she does a very good American accent. Chiwetel Ejiofor, I apologize for saying your name incorrectly. I'm sure I just slaughtered it. But anyway, he is fantastic, always in everything. And so he is in this movie as well. The world building is quite imaginative and could be our future someday. You never know. And so I've got a question for you. Would you like to live in a world like that, the one that's pictured in the movie? Comment down below. I'm super curious. If you were offered this opportunity to have a baby outside of your body in this pod, would you? Just super curious. The film offers social commentary on our reliance on technology. And I thought it was really hilarious to watch the sequences where the dad starts to do everything with the pod. He's carrying it around and hugging it and, talking to it and all of that, making him kind of like an emotional crying mess like pregnant women often are. And I'm speaking from my own experience here. My crazy hormones turned me into a weepy mess when I was pregnant. Anyway, it's just kind of cute and it's interesting because obviously when you're physically carrying the baby, your hormones are crazy. But they also say that some men go through that. And I don't know that my husband necessarily did, but I think with each baby that we had, he got it, you know, like he was so much more excited. Well, he was excited for all of the births, but now as we were having children and he could see them and play with them and all of that, then he just continued to get more and more excited with each baby's birth. I have 4 sons. Anyway, I have to admit that it would have been fascinating to see my baby's daily development when I was pregnant. And in the movie, they're able to kind of touch the shell of this egg, this pod, and kind of see inside without harming the baby. You know, it's still all covered and or protected in this amniotic fluid and all of that. It's just kind of bizarre to describe this movie. But anyway, so they get to take a peek as it develops from this zygote into a human baby. It's just fascinating. And the movie shows AI in the home where this couple lives that also serves as a therapist. And I thought that that would be cool. And I think a lot of people would really like that. So it shows this couple and they go into this little kind of a quiet yoga room type of thing. And they can just talk to this, you know, voice in the room and have a little therapy session. And I thought that was kind of cool. Another interesting element of the movie is the importance of dreams when we sleep, not just dreams as in goals, but dreams when we sleep. And we learn that the babies born in the pods don't dream in their lives once they're born. And the parents are told that dreaming serves no biological function, no purpose, and it's totally fine. And so I'm curious, do you dream? Comment down below. Do you dream in color? I absolutely do. Do you ever dream and you wake up and you're just like, that was so real, and it kind of stays with you throughout the day? Yeah, I've had those kinds of dreams as well. I've also heard that dreams are kind of our way of shuffling through everything that we've experienced during the day and then filing things away in cabinets in our brain and in our body, really. And I like that imagery. I also have recurring dreams. Do you have those too? And I've picked up a few books over the years that supposedly tell you, they explain what a recurring dream is and what certain things in recurring dreams mean. I don't know if it's true or not, if they're just making it up, but I do think that's super interesting. Now, with all of that praise, there were just a few things that I didn't like or just thought could have been done better or differently. For example, they show these devices that are kind of like an Alexa device or a Google Home Mini, and I have both of those in various rooms in my home, and I think they're super fun and very helpful. Not quite as helpful to the degree that we see in this movie, but you know, I've used them, and I know people say, oh, the government's listening. Yeah, probably, but I have nothing to hide, so I like using them. Anyway, there are these devices and they've got these eyeballs that are moving around, and I'm like, no, I'm glad that my little voice assistants don't have eyeballs on them. The couple at the beginning of the movie for Acts 1 and into Acts 2, really the whole movie, they're always repeating over and over again how hard it is to process everything. And I was like, okay, it's hard to process, but let's move on. And they kept saying that. And I'm like, okay, whatever. As I mentioned in Acts 1 and 2, they keep saying that. And then later on, we start to see them show us how they are dealing with things and processing everything and how they're processing things differently. And I thought that that was really interesting. So the movie is described as a romantic comedy, but this definitely isn't what you're thinking when you imagine that genre. And it's really hard to describe what genre it best fits into. So maybe science fiction? I don't know. But as our technology advances, we won't be calling this science fiction at all. We just would maybe put it in that category because that technology doesn't quite exist the way that it's shown in the film, but it probably will be someday soon even. So I don't know. Comment down below. Let me know how you would describe this film. There are parts that are funny, but it's not a comedy, laugh out loud stuff. It's more like a subtle chuckle or like a kind of an insight. And then, you know, the couple is married and they struggle with their romance a little bit. I mean, so I wouldn't call it a romantic comedy in that regard. Anyway, let me know what you think. So whenever I watch movies, I always write notes, and especially I write down the lines that I think are really interesting. And sometimes if there are funny lines, I'll write those down too. I have them all in my written review at moviereviewmom.com. I'll share a few of them with you right now. And actually, there were quite a few. No funny lines, because like I said, it's not a comedy, but one of the lines that I wrote down is spoken by Alvi Novi, who's the husband. And he says, we decided that nature was a commodity, and that's when everything started to unravel. And it shows this world where, yeah, nature is not revered. People don't even know what trees are. They live in these cities and they can create these holographic trees, and that kind of a thing. But this husband is a biologist and he wants to be in nature, and he grows plants in his house and everything. And I think that that's really true, that we can embrace technology, but we cannot forget how important Mother Nature is around us and how it feeds our souls in ways that we don't even understand yet fully, I think. Another interesting line is spoken on this Pegasus video. So the couple, they go to this company and there's this video that they watch, and it says, women have become reluctant about having children because it's not convenient for them. And I thought, yeah, that's actually really true. We're seeing a lot of birth rates throughout the world plummet because women don't want it to be an inconvenience. They would rather have their career and have their life and focus on themselves. So many movies that we see are all about you do you and do what makes you happy. And there's rarely any talk of duty and responsibility and even the joy of parenting. We see a lot of these bratty kids and bratty teenagers, and we're like, well, that doesn't look fun, right? So I'd love to see some movies that show that joy, that immeasurable joy that children bring you. I know my sons have. Love you guys. They're never watching these videos. They never do. But if they do, love you guys. And then there is kind of a nurse helper at this pod company, and she does say, nature knows best. And I thought that that was interesting. And then I really liked this line, and I thought it was absolutely true. Again, the husband, Alvi Novi, says, no one becomes a mother just like that. You become one, meaning it takes time. I remember when I had my very first son, I thought I was just going to have this overwhelming amount of love for this person. But when he was born, I did feel the love, but I didn't know who this person was. And it was a very strange sensation. And I felt guilty that I didn't know him, kind of, if that makes sense. And of course, as you become a mother, I became a mother that minute. But over the lifetime of all of my children, I think I've become a different kind of mother. Anyway, I thought there were some really interesting elements in this film. All right, so let me give you some recommendations of some other films that kind of compare humanity versus technology, Mother Nature versus what humans have created. The first one is a movie that came out, I think, last year. Yeah, 2022. It's called Megan. And the world building is that you can live in a world where you can buy a child. And so she's this robotic child and stuff happens. And then another older one is called Tomorrowland from 2015. And it shows us a futuristic world and contrasts that with, nature and the world that we live in right now, and stars George Clooney. And it's a Disney movie. Anyway, it's interesting. And they created it to offer a movie based on Tomorrowland at Disneyland. And then another classic is called Ex Machina, out in 2014. And it shows a robotic girl, young woman, who becomes self-aware and all that could happen with that. And then one of my favorites is another movie about robots called I, Robot. That was filmed clear back in 2004, starring a young Will Smith. And it's action and suspenseful. And it also shows a robot who becomes self-aware. And in fact, I was traveling, watching it in a hotel room about a couple of weeks ago. And I was like, oh, I love this movie. Anyway, check it out if you've never seen it. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I hope you enjoyed this movie. Let me know. And when you get a minute, run over to Facebook and join my Movie Review Mom Facebook group, where we have a lot of fun. Have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.